Welcome to Panels and Borders Halloween Special. This video is part 2 of my movie toy review for the film Pumpkinhead. In part 1 I reviewed the 1988 horror movie Pumpkinhead, and now in this video I'll be reviewing the action figure. Toys, even in the 80s and early 90s, were designed for children, to be played with by children, and sold to children. No one had thought to market an action figure aimed at the adult collector. That, however, would soon change. As the children of the 70s and 80s started to become young adults, they began to enter the workforce, now with their own disposable income and hungry for pop culture collectibles. To answer that call was Todd McFarlane, one of the co-founders of Image Comics and creator of Spawn. Threw his hat into the toy ring in 1994 and founded McFarlane Toys. With several lineups of highly detailed toys that were more like statues and looked gorgeous on a shelf, it changed the way toy companies thought of action figures forever. They were no longer just for children, but now the adult collector as well. In 1998, McFarlane Toys introduced the Movie Maniacs lineup of action figures based on iconic characters from various science fiction and horror films. The lineup saw characters such as Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and The Crow. The lineup also had a lesser-known horror movie character, Pumpkinhead. Way back, almost 20 years ago now, I took a routine trip to Walmart one day. When I was there, I decided to take a quick look at the toy aisle. As I did, I spotted this action figure on the hooks, and I was immediately drawn to it. I recognized the movie character right away as Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead was a movie I knew about but had never seen. I thought the action figure looked just amazing, so I decided to pick it up. These days you never see these types of figures at the wasteland that is Walmart's toy aisle. Now at this point in my toy collecting, I was still opening most of the action figures I collected. These days I don't, and I leave them all in the package. However, back then I thought nothing of it, and opened up Pumpkinhead. After buying the figure, it was about a year later in 2000 that a friend and myself were looking for something to rent one Friday evening. I spotted the Pumpkinhead movie on the shelf of the horror section, and I thought to myself, well, I've got the action figure, it only makes sense that I check out the movie. So I rented it, and you can find out my thoughts on that film in part 1 of this Halloween special. Now, with that little brief history of my relationship with this action figure, that has been on my shelves for 19 years now out of the way, let's look at the action figure of Pumpkinhead itself. Right away, you'll notice that the sculpt on this action figure is very detailed, which is no big deal these days because we've had so many companies over the years creating highly detailed action figures. Back in the 90s, however, this was still a pretty novel thing. I really like the paint job on this figure, and I love the bony detail. As you can see here with the spine, the figure has little details like that all over it, like right here with the bony ribs. Now let's talk about articulation. This figure is somewhat limited in posability, and for some toy collectors that might be an issue. For me personally, that's not a big deal, as they sit on my shelf anyway. First, the arms have ball joints at the shoulders that you can move around. The hands can move at the wrists. The legs can only move at the hips, but not the knees. There is a swivel at the waist, and the tail is bendy, although I don't want to bend it too much, since this toy is almost 20 years old. Also, the head does not move. Let's get a closer look at the paint job on this guy. He is painted almost a tan color, with darker washes to bring out the details. Also, the teeth and claws also have some nice details painted on. Lastly, let's get a look at this accessory, the only one Pumpkinhead comes with. It's a small framed poster that has a still from the movie in it, and the Movie Maniacs logo sculpted in. The detail of the bones and skull on this is also very well done. Also, the paint job really makes the details pop out. All the figures in this particular series came with this, and it usually had the movie poster in it, which I really wish they had done it with this figure instead of a still from the movie, as the original painted poster and VHS box art for the movie was really good. Overall, a really nice figure for any horror movie fan, or fan of the Pumpkinhead films. There wasn't a lot of merchandise for this character. This is the only action figure for the character that I know of, and there has been a few comics over the years. Unfortunately, this was the only figure I was able to get in the Movie Maniacs lineup, as they were very hard to come by in my area where I lived. I believe some of the line is floating around out there on the secondary market somewhere, but might cost a bit to get these days. That's it for this review of Pumpkinhead from McFarlane Toys, movie Maniacs lineup from the late 90s. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and if you have any of these toys in your own collection, and I will see you at the next one.
Happy Halloween.